How do we know that God exists? It's a pretty basic question about faith, perhaps the most basic. But you may be surprised at how many Christians out there find it a tough question to answer. It's difficult to provide evidence for something that is so self-evident to us. But, given a moment, we might come up with some kind of analogy. How many times have you heard someone say that describing God is comparable to describing the wind or a mother's love? Neither of those things is visible or measurable, but nobody doubts their existence. These kinds of analogies tell us something of how difficult it is to describe God, but it doesn't equate to a description of God. The problem is that describing God is like describing a colour without a sample. If the question wasn't, does God exist, but instead, does red exist, we would similarly not be able to come up with a satisfactory answer. We can't describe red, only its circumstances. We can point to an object and say, that is red. And the same goes for describing God. We cannot describe there being such a being as a God. We can only describe God's history and his circumstances. If we were to consciously keep record of everything God did in our lives, then the reality of God practically forces itself on us. And when people ask if God exists, we could point to all those evidences and say with confidence, there is God.